She flirts with you, she texts you back instantly, she smiles when you're around, and then boom, she suddenly goes cold. No warning, no big fight, just distance. Why does that happen? Look, I know how confusing it feels when a woman seems super into you, only to pull away when things start getting good. One day she's all in, the next, she's emotionally gone, and you're left asking yourself, did I mess this up somehow? Or was she just playing me? This is one of the most frustrating parts of dating, especially when everything seemed to be going so well. But here's the truth. When a woman walks away, even when she clearly likes you, it's not random. It's psychological. And if you don't understand the real reasons behind it, you'll keep running into the same wall with women over and over again. She looks at you like she sees something in you no one else has. She laughs at your jokes even when they aren't that funny. She responds to your texts right away, gives you compliments, maybe even touches your arm when she talks. You're thinking, yeah, this is going somewhere. And just when you start letting your guard down, when you begin to really believe it's mutual, she pulls away. She doesn't argue. She doesn't explain. She just fades. Slower replies, less interest, then silence. And the worst part, you know she liked you. It wasn't just in your head. You felt the connection, the chemistry, the shared energy. But now, she's gone, and you're left playing the highlight reel in your head, asking yourself, what happened? This situation happens way more often than most guys like to admit. And it's not because you're not good enough. It's not because she was faking it. It's not even necessarily because she lost interest. It's something deeper, something psychological. And if you don't understand this, you'll find yourself stuck in the same loop over and over again. Meeting someone, things heating up, then bam, cold, distant, gone. The problem isn't that women don't like you. It's that something happens after the interest builds. Something subtle. Something most men don't see coming until it's too late. A woman walking away, even when she clearly likes you, is not random. It's not a glitch in the dating matrix. It's a reaction to a shift in how she feels, not just about you, but about herself when she's with you. That's what most men never think about. It's not just about whether you're attractive or smart or charming. It's about what emotional state she starts experiencing around you. And sometimes, especially when the connection is strong, that emotional state becomes overwhelming, especially for women who've been hurt, used, betrayed, or played in the past. When they start to feel a genuine spark, a deep emotional pull, their instincts don't always tell them to lean in. Sometimes their instincts scream, run. That's what no one talks about. The closer she feels to you, the more vulnerable she becomes. And for some women, vulnerability equals danger, not because of you, but because of what their past has taught them. So the moment it feels too real, too intimate, too honest, they back off, not because they're not interested, but because they are, and that scares them. It's like this. If a woman has been emotionally burned before, she learns not to trust what feels good. So when she meets someone who makes her feel again, someone who wakes up those butterflies, she doesn't always see that as a green light. Sometimes it feels like a trap, like, this is too good. What if it ends like last time? And before you know it, she puts up her walls, steps back, and you're left wondering what you did wrong. Now here's where it gets tricky. The average guy sees her pulling away and panics. He starts texting more, being extra sweet, overcompensating to bring her back. He tries to remind her how great things were. He gives her even more attention, thinking she just needs reassurance. But what she feels is pressure. That emotional space she was trying to create for herself gets filled up by you needing answers, needing validation. And ironically, the more you try to fix it, the more you push her away. Because she doesn't need fixing. She needs space to figure out her own emotions. She needs to feel like she can breathe again. But if you rush in with more texts, more effort, more let's talk, you're stepping on her emotional air hose. She doesn't run because of you. She runs because of what your closeness brings out in her. And if you don't let her process that, she never comes back. Sometimes, It's not even about fear. Sometimes it's about comfort. Too much of it, too soon. In the beginning, she didn't know where she stood with you. That mystery, that unknown, it triggered her imagination. It made her want to figure you out. She was thinking about you, wondering when you'd text, imagining what you were doing. But then you showed all your cards. You became too available, too predictable, too easy to read. And suddenly, the chase was over. Not because you're boring or bad, but because you gave her certainty too fast. See, attraction lives in tension. It thrives in the space between what's said and what's left unsaid. But when you start giving her daily updates, endless compliments, and 24/7 access to your energy, the tension dies. And with it, so does the spark. Women don't consciously think, this guy's too nice, I'm out. It's more subtle. It's more emotional. It's that feeling of something's missing. And that something is the edge, the unknown, the emotional contrast that makes her feel alive. You didn't do anything wrong. You just stopped being a challenge. Not in a manipulative way, but in a natural masculine way. You shifted from the man she was curious about to the man who made her the center of his world too fast. And as unfair as it sounds, the moment she feels too secure, too in control, she emotionally checks out. So when she starts pulling away, and your first instinct is to chase harder, you're doing exactly what kills the remaining attraction. Not because you're needy, not because you're desperate, but because you're responding emotionally to her withdrawal. And that tells her you're not grounded, you're not centered, you're reacting to her moods instead of holding your own frame. And the more you orbit around her emotional gravity, the more she loses interest. Women don't pull away because they stop liking you. They pull away because the dynamic shifted, and they no longer feel the same emotional high they did in the beginning. This is the painful part most guys don't want to hear. You can do everything right. Be charming, kind, respectful, attractive, and still lose her, simply because the emotional dance broke down. It stopped being exciting. It stopped being a story. And once that emotional energy is gone, logic won't bring it back. You can't reason your way into attraction. You can't beg your way into chemistry. You can't explain your way into her heart. And the harder you try, the more she feels like she's losing the version of you she was once drawn to. The real test of a man's emotional strength is what he does when a woman begins to detach. Most men react. Very few respond. The difference might sound small, but it changes everything. Reacting means you let your feelings control your actions. You start texting more. You scroll back through conversations looking for clues. You ask her if you did something wrong. You start chasing her energy, trying to pull her back into what you had before. But here's the brutal truth. Chasing never brings her back. It only confirms that she's the one in control. And when she feels that shift in power, even if she didn't consciously plan to take it, something changes in her mind. She stops seeing you as the man she once admired. You become the guy who's trying to win her over instead of the one she was trying to figure out. And I get it. It's confusing. One moment she's showing all the signs. She's emotionally available, opening up, flirting, making plans. Then she vanishes. But remember this. Attraction doesn't disappear overnight. What fades is the emotional experience around you. If she no longer feels that spark, that unpredictability, that sense of, I don't fully have him yet, her interest begins to drop. Not because she's playing games, but because you stopped showing that you have a life outside of her. You stopped being that man on his mission, with or without her. And here's the harsh reality. When a woman senses that you're putting her above your purpose, she instinctively feels like she has to pull back. Women may not say it out loud, but they feel it when you put them on a pedestal. And not in a cute, romantic way. In a way that feels heavy, needy, and unbalanced. A woman wants to feel chosen, but she doesn't want to feel like she is your life. When you shift your focus away from your goals, your self-respect, your time, and your energy, and you start giving it all to her, like she's a reward for just showing up, that's when she checks out. Because deep down, women are drawn to strength. Not arrogance, not ego, but emotional strength. That silent, grounded confidence that says, I want you, but I don't need you. That's the energy that holds her attention. That's the energy that keeps her wondering, what's he doing when I'm not around? It's not about manipulation. It's about balance. It's about being a man with depth, a man who values himself enough to not collapse every time someone pulls away. And when she sees that, when she feels that you don't flinch under emotional pressure, that's when her attraction quietly returns. Not because you said the perfect thing or sent a good morning text, but because she feels that you're unshaken. That's rare, that's magnetic, and that's the exact energy she didn't even realize she was craving. Now let's get into something deeper. Sometimes a woman pulls away not just because of how you're acting, but because she doesn't know how to handle what she feels around you. Some women aren't used to emotional intensity. Maybe she's been in toxic relationships. Maybe she's only known surface level attention. So when she meets someone who actually connects with her, who makes her feel truly seen, it activates something in her she doesn't know how to handle. She might think she wants a real connection, but the moment it starts to feel too real, she pulls away. Not to test you, but to protect herself. It's like emotional self-defense. She'd rather disappear than risk falling too hard and getting hurt again. And here's where most guys mess up. They make it about themselves. They think, I must have said something wrong, or maybe I wasn't exciting enough. But most of the time, it's not even about you. It's about the emotional storm that you unknowingly triggered in her. When someone has emotional walls up, they're not just afraid of bad people, they're afraid of good people too. Because real connection means lowering those walls. It means being vulnerable. And for a lot of women, that's terrifying. So instead of leaning into that fear and facing it, they pull away. Not because you failed, but because you stirred up something they weren't ready to face. This is why you've got to remain still in the storm. If she pulls back, you don't chase. You don't blow up her phone. You don't start guessing. You lean back. You stay grounded. You let her feel the absence of your energy, not as a punishment, but as a mirror, so she can feel the contrast. She needs to feel what life is like when you're not emotionally orbiting around her. And it's in that silence, in that space, that a woman starts asking herself the hard questions. Did I overreact? Why do I miss him? Why did I pull away when I liked him? And now, she's the one analyzing. She's the one feeling the gap. And here's something powerful. Sometimes your absence says more than any long message ever could. It's not about giving her the silent treatment. It's about protecting your own energy. It's about showing her that you're not the guy who needs to beg for attention, that you can feel confused, hurt, and disappointed, but still respect yourself enough to walk away if the energy isn't mutual. That's when she starts to look at you differently, not just as a guy she was talking to, but as a man who has standards, a man who doesn't tolerate emotional inconsistency. And that's the kind of man who earns respect. You've got to understand, when a woman walks away, even though she liked you, it's not the end of the story. Sometimes it's just the beginning of a test you didn't realize you were in. A test not of your words, but of your self-worth. She might be hoping, deep down, that you stay strong, that you don't fall apart. Because if you do, it confirms her fears that she can't trust her own feelings. But if you stay calm, composed, unshaken, that's when she starts to question her decision. That's when she wonders if she made a mistake. And that's when you flip the dynamic without saying a word. Now here's the key. If she comes back, and she will, if the attraction was real and you didn't chase, you can't go back to acting like nothing happened. You've got to set the tone. You've got to show her that you're not here for emotional games. That if she wants access to your time and attention again, she's got to come correct. You're not angry. You're not bitter. But you're not playing the same role she tried to walk away from. Because that version of you, too available, too eager, too emotionally invested, he's gone. And in his place is a man who respects himself too much to settle for hot and cold energy. The moment a woman starts to feel that you're no longer chasing her, that you're not waiting around hoping she changes her mind. That's when she starts thinking differently. She starts remembering the way you made her feel, the way you didn't pressure her, the way you held space without falling apart. And what you've done, without even trying, is flip the entire emotional equation. You've gone from the one who needed clarity to the one who gives it, from the one who wanted her back to the one she's wondering if she still has a chance with. Because here's what most people don't get. Women don't always leave because the attraction is gone. Sometimes they leave because they thought they had you figured out. They felt like the mystery was gone. The emotional thrill started to fade. And that's not about you being boring or uninteresting. That's about her natural psychology, craving that emotional roller coaster of uncertainty and reward. When everything becomes too stable, too predictable, it stops triggering those deeper emotional pathways. That's why walking away, or even just pulling back without explaining yourself, is such a powerful move. It reintroduces the one thing she didn't know she missed: uncertainty. But now it's coming from you, not her. You've got to remember, emotional tension is what keeps attraction alive. And when you give too much too soon, when you're always available, always replying instantly, always reassuring her, you kill that tension. Not intentionally, but that's the result. And she doesn't even realize it's happening. She just starts to feel off, like something's missing. So she pulls away to create distance, hoping to feel something again. And the truth is, when you disappear, not in a petty way, but in a grounded, self-respecting way, it's the exact shock to the system that makes her reevaluate everything. She'll start wondering why you're not chasing, why you're not asking questions, why you're not trying to fix things. And here's where things get interesting. If she actually had feelings for you, even if she was confused or scared, that space will begin to haunt her. Because you didn't give her what every other guy does: reassurance, validation, emotional begging. You gave her silence. And that silence is powerful. It echoes. It forces her to sit with her own decision. And now, she's the one feeling the tension. She's the one wondering if she messed up. And when she finally reaches out again, you've got to meet her with strength, not bitterness. Don't punish her. Don't throw it in her face. But also don't just fall back into old patterns. This is the moment where you subtly let her know that things are different now. You've grown. You've seen her behavior for what it was. And if she wants back into your world, she's got to match your energy, not the other way around. Because this is what creates long-term respect. It's not about trying to be alpha or playing hard to get. It's about showing that your emotional world doesn't collapse just because someone walked away. Let's talk about another deep reason a woman might walk away, even when she clearly liked you. Sometimes it's timing, and that sounds like a cliche, but it's real. She might be dealing with something in her personal life: family issues, career changes, emotional baggage from a past relationship. And even though she feels something for you, she knows she's not ready to handle the intensity. You might represent something too serious, too mature, too real for where she's currently at. And her way of handling that disconnect isn't always healthy. Instead of communicating it clearly, she distances herself. She pulls away so she doesn't have to deal with the confrontation. Now, does that mean you should wait around for her to get her life together? Absolutely not. That's not your responsibility. If she's not in a place to fully show up, then the best thing you can do is step back and let her figure herself out without your energy in the mix. Because here's the truth: your presence has value. Your consistency has weight. Your attention should be earned, not just given because she smiled at you a few times. And if she can't see that, then you've got to be okay with walking away too, even if she liked you, even if you liked her. Because being a man who values himself more than the emotional roller coaster, that's what sets you apart. But here's the curveball. Sometimes her walking away is her own twisted way of asking, "How badly do you want me?" It's a subconscious test, a pattern she's repeated without even knowing why. She pulls away to see if you'll fight harder, to see if you'll prove your love. And if you fall into that trap, if you chase, if you beg, if you try harder, you end up validating her insecurity. You reinforce the idea that she has to pull away to feel worthy. And that cycle becomes toxic. That's why the only winning move is not to play that game. Not with silence as punishment, but with distance as clarity. When she realizes you're not taking the bait, when you don't come running every time she withdraws, she starts to rewire that pattern. She starts to see you as someone she can't emotionally manipulate, even if she didn't intend to. She starts to see you as stable, safe, grounded. And ironically, that's when she feels safe enough to come back. Not because you chased her down, but because you didn't. You became the emotional anchor she didn't know she needed. The storm didn't move you. You stood still. And that stillness shook her more than any emotional outburst ever could. This is the part where you have to ask yourself, are you willing to be the guy who walks away too? Because if you can't do that, you'll always end up being the one who gets left. Not because you're not enough, but because you gave too much without boundaries. Women don't want perfect. They want presence. They want a man who's rooted, who doesn't lose his identity trying to win them over. And that's the mindset you've got to live in. Not temporarily to get her back, but permanently, because that's who you are. Let her walk away if she needs to. Let her figure out her emotions. Let her deal with her confusion. Your job isn't to fix it. Your job is to remain grounded, self-respecting, and unavailable to anything less than mutual energy. Because a woman might walk away even when she clearly likes you, but she won't stay away if you become the kind of man who doesn't break when she does. And here's the thing, no one tells you. When a woman walks away and you let her, without begging, without trying to fix everything, you create a story in her mind that she can't stop replaying. Because deep down, most women are used to being chased. They're used to the emotional back and forth, the drama, the begging, the apologies, the pleading texts at 2 a.m. When that doesn't happen, it throws them off completely. She expects you to fall apart. But when you don't, when you move forward like your life has other priorities, she starts to question everything. That's when the regret creeps in. That's when she checks your stories, wonders who you're with, thinks about the things she took for granted. And it's not even about jealousy. It's about the realization that maybe, just maybe, she lost something real. This is the part most guys never get to experience because they panic. The silence gets too loud, and they fold. They break no contact. They send that just checking on you message. And the second you do that, you undo everything. You prove that she still has emotional power over you, that her walking away still controls your moves. But when you don't respond, when you stay calm in that storm, you create contrast. You become the exception. And that's exactly what sticks in her mind. Not the gifts, not the texts, not the words. The contrast. The fact that when she walked away, you didn't chase. You didn't crumble. You stood still. And that stillness spoke louder than anything you could have said. Let me take you deeper into this. Because sometimes it's not even about you at all. She may have feelings for you, she may even love you, but if she's still healing from something else, trauma, heartbreak, insecurity, she will walk away out of fear. Not because she doesn't care, but because the emotions are too much. You might make her feel too seen, too exposed, too vulnerable. And if she's not used to that, if she's never had a safe space where she didn't have to perform, it'll feel uncomfortable. And her first instinct will be to retreat, to push you away before you get too close. That's how a lot of women protect themselves. So she disappears. She pulls away. She tests the waters to see if you'll follow. And again, if you do, you feed that fear. You show her that her emotional pull has power. And even if you come from a good place, your chasing confirms her worst thought, that she can't trust her feelings, that it's safer to run than to risk connection. That's why you've got to hold your position. You don't chase after someone running from themselves. You let them figure it out. Because if she's truly meant to be in your life, she'll come back. Not just physically, but emotionally. she'll return with clarity, with maturity, with awareness. And if she doesn't, then her leaving was a gift, a painful one, but still a gift, because it showed you where she really stood. Now listen, none of this is about being heartless. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about valuing your peace more than chaos, your standards more than your feelings. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about what she felt. It's about what she did with those feelings. You don't measure someone's interest by their words or how they looked at you. You measure it by how they show up when things get real, when things get hard, when emotions start to rise and defenses start to kick in. That's when true intentions are revealed. And if she walked away, that's your answer, even if she liked you. But if you play it right, if you stay grounded, stay silent, stay focused on your path, she might come back. And not out of guilt, or loneliness, or manipulation. She'll come back because she'll realize she had something rare. Someone who wasn't desperate. Someone who didn't chase approval. Someone who had the strength to let her go. And that's what makes her think twice. That's what makes her stare at her phone, typing and deleting, wondering if you'd even respond. You've got to understand, when you're rare, you don't have to chase. People come back just to feel your energy again, but only if you're strong enough to let them leave in the first place. And maybe she never comes back. Maybe she moves on. Maybe she dates someone else. That doesn't mean you lost. It means you dodged a longer cycle of emotional instability. It means you avoided being in a relationship where you're constantly trying to prove yourself to someone who isn't emotionally ready. And that's the most important part of all of this. Knowing that your peace is more important than someone's potential. You can't date potential. You can't build with someone who doesn't know what they want. You deserve clarity, effort, reciprocity. If she can't give that, no matter how much she liked you, she's not the one. So if a woman walks away, even when she clearly liked you, let her. Don't argue. Don't chase. Don't try to talk her out of it. Just let her go. Let her feel the weight of that silence. Let her feel what it's like to lose access to your presence. And in that space, either she'll realize what she lost and come back stronger, or she'll disappear for good, and you'll realize she was never really ready in the first place. Either way, you win. Because you chose strength over desperation. You chose clarity over confusion. And that's how you take your power back. So when she walks away next time, don't panic. Don't text her. Don't call her. Let her go with grace. Because if she really cared, she wouldn't be testing your emotional limits. She wouldn't be creating distance to see if you'd close it. She'd be standing next to you, choosing you, building with you. Anything less than that isn't worth your energy. It's that simple. You don't lose women by being emotionally strong. You lose the ones who were never strong enough to match you in the first place. Watch the next video.